Okay, so we are here at Dollar City Fun City Store, your one-stop shop for all sorts of different things. You can get beach balls, you can get more beach balls, beach umbrellas, American flags, mandolins, lined paper glue, whiteout, jumbo calculators, acrylic paint, staplers. You can get thumbtacks here, candles, bicycle inner tubes, samurai swords, saxophones. You can get little Jesus crucifixes here.
Don't forget all your Halloweening supplies.
And all your Halloween supplies for, if you want to have a Halloween party, it's all right here.
Santa Cruz favorite holiday.
Santa Cruz, Halloween is got to be the most Santa Cruz type holiday that there. I mean, Santa Cruz really goes all out for Halloween, and people should check that out.
And I like the fact that they consider it so special that they make it a triple fine zone downtown. So.
Oh yeah, right. Well, it's such a special holiday that if you get caught with an open container, that you have to give that much more
once,
city
not twice,
the city.
but three times the fun.
Three times the fun, right, on Halloween. Yay! Thank you, City of Santa Cruz. So we're here on the Magic Box Talk Show. We've got Steve Pleich on the show, and we've also got Sushi the fish, who's in the Magic Box has magically transformed itself into a magic fish bowl, which is shaped like a box. And Sushi loves to live in here with his little brainy Smurf and his dice and all that.
Well, I'm happy to be guesting with Sushi.
Sushi's a great co-host. Doesn't really have a whole lot to say, but he's very thoughtful nonetheless. And
given that we're talking about politics, I'm sure that Sushi's opinion is just as valid as anybody else.
Right. There you go. The reason we're talking about politics here, Steve, is because you're doing something that's a little bit special. You've done it before, but it's still a very good thing, which is that you are
running for city council.
Council again. Okay, so the election's coming up in November.
We're just kind of starting now to get out in the neighborhood, starting to talk to people, finding out what issues resonate with them, see what the people actually think is important in terms of, what the future of Santa Cruz is going to be.
Wait. The people?
The people.
Not just the business interests?
For your audience. For
not just the really rich people?
I have a campaign slogan that it's about access. And I believe,
why is that your campaign slogan,
Well, because
Steve?
I believe that the people of Santa Cruz have not had access to the
makes you think
the
that?
decision-making process concerning the issues that determine the future.
How can you level this terrible accusation against our current council?
I'm an honest politician, or is that an oxymoron?
I don't know if that's such a thing exists. It's less and less these days. I would say.
The unfortunate truth.
There's less Pat Browns and John F. Kennedy's and Frank Church. Kennedy maybe not so much, but Frank Church is a good example of kind of a crusading populist politician. More and more, it seems that the elections are being bought out by big money interests.
Well, in Santa Cruz, unfortunately, Colin, is no different than the national scene. Generally speaking, the people who raise the most money get the most votes. And Micah Posner and I, Micah also running for city council, have urged our fellow candidates to voluntarily limit their spending to the limitation, which is $26,000, which is really kind of an obscene amount to spend on a moderately sized city municipal election. But nevertheless, $26,000 seems sufficient.
I spend that much every time I go to the grocery store.
Pocket change for a fellow like yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's the challenge, really, is to raise enough money to be competitive, to get that kind of visibility. They get the lawn signs. Myself, I may tend to go a little less toward the lawn signs and more toward the personal kind of flyer. We intend, myself and my volunteers, I have generating a staff of people who are going to go out in the neighborhoods for me, and we're looking to distribute about 10,000 flyers between now and probably the beginning of October. A lot of people now, Colin, as you know, vote by mail. And so there's really a campaign season beginning about this first week of October when the mail ballots go out. People are starting to fill in their ballots and send them in. So you really have to get people in the first part of October
going on before you even get along to election day in November.
And November 6th, by that time, a substantial number of people will have already voted.
Oh, yeah. definitely.
So,
but the votes don't get counted until after election day.
they all get
so,
counted at the same time.
So that way, it's not going to be influenced by. We already know that this candidate won a lot of votes, or that
which
sort
would
of
be
thing.
great, they count all the mail-in ballots. They say, well, Steve Pleich has such an overwhelming majority
yeah,
of
we're not
votes.
even going to bother to go to the polls because
In fact,
who
we're going to
cares
swear him in
anyway,
today.
right?
So,
Yeah, okay.
Steve, if you're listening, come on over to City Hall.
Right.
Yeah. But
So Steve, if your slogan is "It's all about access," how exactly do you intend to give the ordinary people, the little people, so to speak? No offense to short people.
Right,
I've been getting ridiculed for being short my entire life. So, but how do you intend to provide access?
well, with a nod toward Randy Newman.
With a what?
With a nod toward Randy Newman, the short people.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Yes,
yes, right.
It was his song. For me, it's all about
Warwick Davis is
You receive a
also
certain minimum salary for your city council work, and I'm going to use that money to open an office downtown. So the people, if they want to talk to their city council member, if they have a problem, they have basically a pothole that needs to be fixed. That kind of politician, that kind of person can respond to that. So also, I'm intending to have neighborhood meetings, neighborhood roundtables, neighborhood discussions, all during my tenure as a city council member to let people weigh in on what they think are the important issues and be able to tell me so that I can, as the representative, make the vote that really reflects, what they want.
So you will actually be a representative of the. So
It's-
Steve, when you open up this office space and have people come in and talk to you, you're, as is tradition, you're going to limit them to only be able to talk to you for 2 minutes, correct?
Well, my oral communications procedures may be a bit different than city council. No, Colin, you find that people, if you allow them to act like adults, then they will. And that's the problem with limiting oral communications to city council. They say, well, we can't trust the people who come in here to limit themselves to a certain period of time, a certain few minutes, so we're going to tell them that's all they can have. If you just let people come in and say what they have to say, most of the time people are only going to speak for 3, 4, 5 minutes anyway. So let them come in, use their own discretion, act like adults, tell us, the city council members, their representatives, what's important to them, and let's have an open dialogue. Instead of this kind of thing where, well, your time is up, you can finish your last sentence. That's just nonsense.
Yeah, totally. Well, the monkey seems to think it's nonsense.
Well, there you go.
He
So,
busted out laughing.
part of my constituency, no doubt.
Yes, that's true. The monkeys will also be included in your decision-making process.
No question about it.
On major issues.
It's about access to monkeys, too,
It's
as you well know.
Yes, monkeys are people, too. It's true. So, Steve, it sounds like what you're doing is maybe a little bit different than what other candidates have done. Do you think we really need something different in this town?
Well,
I mean, isn't it just everything's just sort of hunky-dory the way they are, so we shouldn't change anything, right?
I think Santa Cruz has gone a little overboard in their zeal to recycle everything in town, and now they're recycling their public servants.
It's because we're so green. Yeah, that's what it is.
And I just don't think that you get fresh ideas, you don't get creative ideas. I mean, I think all the people who run for city council and who serve for long periods of time are fine and dedicated public servants, but I think that you lose a little perspective when you're kind of immersed in that over so many years. I mean, Don Lane has been on the council 16 years now. Cynthia Mathews, as you know, was on the council 16 years, was off 2 years due to what I perceive as a flaw in our electoral process, where you only have to sit out 2 years after your term limited out and you come back and run again.
Yeah.
And now she's going to be running again and very likely will win a seat and return to council. Mike Rotkin, Mike was on council for 30 years. Not unusual to have these people serve for inordinate, in my mind, periods of time, and I do think that erodes their perspective about what we need to do to move the city forward. They see it as the place that they've loved and they've lived in for a long period of time, and it's okay if we just fix it a little bit here and a little bit there. I think we're getting to a situation where we're a much more complex city. It's much more difficult to govern in this day and age, particularly with the economic restraints, the dire economic situation
The
we find ourselves
recession
in.
we're in, yeah.
And so, that kind of conditions really need, I think, fresh eyes on the problems that we have in the city, and that's what I intend to provide.
But Steve, if we don't elect the same people over and over for decades on end, then how can one faction or constituency continue to control the whole town?
Well, and that's the challenge. I mean, they seem to have found their power base, and they seem to have maintained that power base. The people who have been on city council and who have really controlled the politics and the flow of business and in the city for long periods of time. If Micah Posner, and I am supporting Micah as well, and I were elected, we might be able to build a power base of our own. Maybe another council member, and we could really start to initiate some programs that I think would change the city and the whole community for the better. So that's what we're hoping, and that's what we're working toward.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that begs the question then, why is it that you think that the same people keep winning the election over and over?
Well,
are they the only people that are running, or is it?
No, it's human nature. I think people are just comfortable with the people that they know, and particularly in a relatively small town. This is not a big city.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there's the kind of adversity, animosity really that build up generally in politics. So they don't really become disliked over a period of time. And a lot of times that's what happens when the new broom sweeps clean, and they just sweep the old guard out and bring new ones in, because the old guard has done something to alienate their constituencies. Here in Santa Cruz, they know these people. They live in their neighborhoods. They're their neighbors.
Yeah.
They just become comfortable with that, and rather than making a bold choice, they rely on the people who have been in office for a long period of time to meet the challenges of the present and the future. And I just don't think, frankly, that our current elected representatives are up to it.
And why would you say that they're not up to it?
Because I think they lack vision. I think they lack creativity. I think they lack any idea of where we need to be as a city, how to really work on spurring economic development to increase our tourist base without affecting the quality of life for people who live here all the time. Those things I think they just let roll along, and hopefully they're going to work themselves out with a strengthening economy, or with the tourists being able to find their ways in and out of town. You really have to have ways to make people more comfortable when they visit here, when they shop here, when even they work and live here. And that's another thing that I'm really concentrating on this year, is creating more affordable housing, creating a jobs plan that'll let people actually live and work in Santa Cruz, reduce traffic that way. That reduces our greenhouse problems, things like that. A true
not as much going
plan.
up Highway 17 to Silicon Valley for jobs.
People should be able to work and live in our community.
Okay. Well, I would add to your analysis, I think that part of the reason that the same people get elected over and over is because they have secured a voter base that are very consistent about going to the polls. And I think that it sort of leads to an illusion that this is what a broad swath of people in town are looking for, is this particular milieu, constituency of people who get elected. And I would challenge that and say that I think that they appeal to a particular voter base that often tends to be conservative, and that there actually, I think, is a lot of animosity that goes on between different constituencies of people in town, especially people who are in different economic class stratas. And furthermore, I would say that there's kind of an overrepresentation of affluent people and an underrepresentation of impoverished people. And because there's not a representation for a lot of people in town, a lot of different constituencies, that does lead to animosity.
And I would say that's a very astute analysis. I think that's absolutely true. For instance, Cynthia Mathews coming back and likely will win a seat on the council again is represented by a particular group of people. Now that's the business community, the retail community, people in the downtown community, and that
and also the neighborhood groups.
And the neighborhood groups, no question about it.
And I think a really good example of kind of an animosity where the city council sided with the constituency they ordinarily do would be the noise complaints with the neighbors, the Pono Bar and Grill. Yeah. And the city council's response to that was to, get this, ban dancing. They banned dancing. Now, Now, here's a challenge I'm going to issue to anybody who's on the city council is can you tell me if I'm sitting here and I begin to move my arm in sort of an unorthodox sort of fashion, and pretty soon I'm going like that. Could you take this YouTube video and identify the exact frame where I go from gesturing to dancing? Can you do it? I would like to see that, and if you can't do that, then your legal definition kind of falls short. So, hey Steve, we're running low on time here, so let's wrap it up. How can people get involved in your campaign if they would like to do so?
They can go to my website, steveforsantacruz.org, and it's got my campaign statement, all my issues. There's a blog on there. There's an opportunity to donate some money if you like, to become a volunteer, to get out with us and really make some change in the city. I think it's an exciting opportunity for people who are interested in what their community is going to be like in the future to get on board with us and help out. And it's about access, so it's about access for anybody who wants to come and help out.
That sounds good. So if we have any time left, not really. Okay, we're done. We're done. Yay!